Hey, hey.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with
Welcome back to
Kandace
Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, this morning is quite a sad morning, you could say, because we're dealing with a lot of deaths. We just spoke about the passing of Denise Plummer. We're waiting to find out what's going on with the drowning incident or supposedly drowning incident of young Matthias Jerry. I know some people are still out looking for the body. And then, of course, yesterday we had the murder of a young 17-year-old girl at Crown Point Bar. So joining us this morning, we have Sergeant Joseph Jordan on with us, just to give us some updates as well as to address some other issues within the space. Good morning and welcome to you.
Yes, good morning to you. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning to your viewing and listening audience. Thanks for having the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Right, so straight into it as it relates to the updates. Well, of course, we know our headlines in Tobago is as a result of this homicide that took place in the Crown Point area. But before I touch the homicide, let me just give our regular statistics and I will go into that.
No problem.
So as it relates to our serious report crimes for the period January 1st to the August 19 period, we would have recorded 487 SRCs in 2022, whilst for the same period in 2023, we would have recorded 412, which would have, as we continuously seen, our decline in these serious report crimes. Our detection rate currently stands at 30% as compared to 45% in 2022. Our murders at this point in time currently stands at 9, whilst last year in 2022, we would have recorded 4 murders for this said period. And it is rather unfortunate that we have to speak about this murder this morning. So
especially when it's so unnecessary.
Right. So on that note, what we would like to see, first, I want to apologize or empathize rather with the family and friends of the young, precious wills of John Gorman Trade's Crown Point. I trying to be good Police Service express our empathy, and we are working to ensure that the perpetrator or perpetrators of this senseless incident are brought to justice. So the facts as it relates to what we have so far, it was around 3:05 a.m. on the 27th of August, 2023, where there were gunshots heard at the Uptop Bar in Crown Point, commonly known as the Avenue in Tobago. Upon hearing the gunshot, two females, one age 17, the deceased, Precious Wills, and an 18-year-old was found with gunshot wound lying on the ground. The 17-year-old would have been pronounced dead on arrival at the Scarborough General Hospital, while the other female, age 18, she's currently in a stable condition at the critical but stable condition at the hospital. Now, this situation is very sad for the island, and as I said, it is senseless, it is reckless, it is unfortunate as to see that we have persons, whether legal or illegal firearm, going to a club and discharging it amongst a crowd. Any reasonable, sensible, thinking person would know discharging a firearm in an area like that will certainly result in a death. I often see a firearm is not a weapon to wound, it is a firearm to kill. It was designed to kill. And the mere possession of a firearm, especially a legal one, your intention, and the law recognizes that your intention is to kill another person. And this is where we have our challenges in our crime fighting strategies. People are being unreasonable. That incident stemmed out of apparently an incident of somewhat domestic issue. However, we cannot be so angry that because of whatever incident or scuffle that might have occurred, that you decide to take out your firearm and shoot in a crowd, whether the two young ladies were the intended victim or not, somebody would have most likely been injured or killed, as in this instance, somebody did die. And this is not the example we want to set for Tobago. And on that note, I would want to also express the view that the Tobago population, the police, we have our slogan, if you see something, say something. And at this point in time, I am pleading with the general public, those who were present at that establishment on Sunday morning, come forward and share the information with the police so that the family, the friends of that young lady, and as well as the other young lady who is currently at the hospital, they can be assured that the matter was resolved, it was solved, and the perpetrator or the perpetrators are held responsible for that senseless act. As it relates to it, we have somebody, a person of interest, who is assisting us, and we're hoping that whatever information is gathered, that it will be sufficient to bring the charges against the perpetrator or the perpetrators, as the case may be. And we want to ensure that the public are aware as to what is taking place on our island as relates to crime. Tobago is supposed to be a safe place. However, there are incidents of this nature that are hampering our progress. All right, we would have recorded 9, and one murder in Tobago is too much.
I just want to stick a pin right there. And you mentioned something that you're not sure. Is it correct that you're not sure if the women, they were the intended targets?
Yeah, based on our report, we are not certain if that the two persons that would have, the one that died and the other person that is currently at the hospital, we are not certain if they were the intended target. However, the facts of this matter is that a gun was used, a shot was fired, someone died, and someone is fighting for their life in the hospital. And there were people present in the vicinity. So please, whatever information you have, share. The numbers you can communicate with, the Tobago Homicide at 635-1469. You can also communicate with 800 TIPS or 555 to share whatever other information that you may have, that we can solve this crime and bring redress to the family and friends, and also to the Tobago population. As this is not, it is not a regular occurrence, but it is unfortunate. It is really unfortunate.
And this is happening in Crown Point, an area where, we have a lot of visitors coming. We have a lot of people coming across from Trinidad because they feel safer going to, enjoy themselves in Tobago.
Certainly.
And what is this going to do for us?
Right, and it definitely perpetrates a negative light on the island, considering persons are leaving Trinidad to come to Tobago, which ought to be a safer environment, and you are experiencing these sort of unfortunate instances. And what is rather amazing, it didn't happen on the street. This is within an establishment. Now, persons may speak about the security.
Yes, that was going to be my next question.
Persons may speak about the security at the establishment. Persons would speak about why a 17-year-old is at such place. But this is where the law guides us with. Most of the time when you go to nightlife establishment, bars, restaurants, what we often see is the sign, the sale of alcohol is prohibited or strictly prohibited for persons under the age of 18. Now, we speak about the sale of alcohol, and it does not mean that persons under the age of 18 cannot enter the establishment. Now, some establishment may have policies. So they may have a policy where persons under the age of 18 cannot enter. Some persons may have as much go up to the age of 25, but that is in relation to the policy of the establishment. But in relation to the law, the only breach that we can identify at this point in time is the sale of alcohol. And if somebody offers you alcohol that you didn't buy it, so that is, you may not be committing any crime. So what we would like to encourage is that these establishments, that they put in necessary policies to safeguard their establishment, higher security to make sure you have the checks that persons do not enter these buildings with illegal weapons, whether it be a knife, firearm. These are some of the things that you as a proprietor need to treat with as it relates to safety, because one of the things that you want is safety. And if we are speaking safety on the island of Tobago and by extension Trinidad, safety is not only the country at large, but within your own establishment that you may have, because you want persons to return, you want people to come, you want them to enjoy what you have, and you want them to, they must live with that experience of safety and the ability to return. So we employ a person to put measures in place, safeguard your establishment, and by you doing that, you are now safeguarding Trinidad and Tobago. As we know, tourism is one of our main attractions on our island, and we would want to put all the necessary resources in place to protect our citizens. So while the police is doing their part, we would like the general public to also do their part so that we can have a safe and serene Tobago.
Is it true that the weapon was left on the scene?
That I cannot confirm that information. So at that point in time, we are still in our investigative aspect, and whatever little information we have, as we often say, we want to keep it close to our chest, so that when we do bring the charges, the person or the persons are not prejudiced by public outcry, or the judiciary is not influenced by public subjective thoughts.
Certainly. And in relation to some other incidents, now we had the drowning that occurred, or so we're hoping
Right.
that it's not a drowning.
Right.
We're really hoping it's not a drowning. Hoping that the young man can be found, but it's not looking positive at this point in time.
Right. So yesterday afternoon, that's on the 27th of the 8th, 2023, there was a report of a young man was apparently testing out a jet ski at the Pigeon Point area. Subsequent later on in that evening, it was observed that the jet ski was just spinning out at sea. So it would have drawn the attention of the lifeguard and other persons who would have rendered aid. However, upon getting to that point, the person was not seen. So we deemed that a missing person at sea. The police as well as the Coast Guard would have been contacted. The Coast Guard would have conducted search into the evening yesterday, and that search should have resumed this morning at 6 a.m. in search of the young male. So it is rather unfortunate. So as it stands, it's a person missing at sea. So we cannot make that pronouncement whether the person has drowned or otherwise. So until new information come to light, we deem that information as a missing person at sea.
And what about in terms of the vessels that the police are supposed to have? Because I know, was it last year, the THA would have at least offered 2 vessels, or was it 1 or 2 vessels to the police to use in those areas around to help with either monitoring the reefs or monitoring the coastal areas, or to help in situations like this?
All right, so in relation to that, though, that content, what would have happened is the THA did have some conversation with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and an agreement was made that they had 2 vessels that they can assist the marine unit, which would to enhance the marine unit of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, right? So as it relates to those 2 water vessels, they are in need for some repairs before they come on stream. However, in lieu of that, our counterparts from Trinidad, they would often come to Tobago and give us aid on the seas so far. So we don't have a resident unit in the Tobago as yet. However, whenever needed, especially during the major activities, they come to the island and they assist us, as well as the Coast Guard, with preserving law and order on our waters.
And then I have to also raise the issue because unfortunately we've had some incidents this weekend. There was a shooting in Buku on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. So as it relates to that, I cannot confirm that location, but yes, they had an incident where persons would have challenged the police, and as it relates to gunshots, I want to ask persons, do not engage the police because it will not end good for you. We are trained, we have the skill, and if you fire at us, we will return fire. And basically, we are going to respond with equal force. So we want to ensure that this is becoming a regular occurrence, because about 2 weeks back, we have had a similar situation where a person would have shot at the police. However, that person a chase ensued, and the person was detained as well as the firearm involved. So in this instance, it's similar in nature, and we want to ensure that people are aware that the police, we are not going to be making any jokes about protecting the lives of our citizens as well as protecting our own life, because at the end of the day, self-preservation is important. And persons with illegal firearms, if you are held with an illegal firearm, your sole intention is to kill, not wound, to kill. And if you engage the police or any person who has a FUL or FUEC and they engage you, they are more than likely you would meet an unfortunate instance, most likely death. And it is not a situation where persons would look forward into engaging in such a firefight, but one must preserve themselves. So let us not be reckless in our actions. Let us be reasonable thinking people, as we know Tobago is a place of family where there is lots of love. Let us keep that going. Let us not make these delinquent, these recalcitrant cause problems within our society. We want persons to be in an environment that is safe. If you see something, say something. Because if we continue to allow persons to get away with information, we would have crime skyrocketing, and they would not be able to solve. Because the police in some instances, or in many instances, are not present when it happens. And we are depending on the community. The police is the community, and the community is the police. We are dependent on one another to solve crime. So going back to that incident down at Crown Point, if you persons who were there, if you would have seen something, say something so that we can bring the perpetrators to justice, and the evidence would be sufficient so that person would face the necessary judicial aspects of the laws within Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, and now we just want to move on a little bit to Independence Day, where we are going to be celebrating who we are as a people, as well as our forces, including yourself.
Yes.
And so I know there's some measures that are going to be put in place for that. So
right.
What does the public need to know?
Right. So Trinidad and Tobago, happy independence. We are going to celebrate 61 years from 1962 to present. And as part of that celebration, our military, paramilitary, as well as our unarmed personnel will be celebrating in the form of a parade. It's an annual event, and we all look forward to it. So this year, our parade would start at the usual parade ground in the Bacalet, Scarborough, and the march would proceed west along the Claude Noel Highway. This would mean that there will be road closure from the Bacalet in the vicinity of the health center. To that road, there will be no parking, and the road will be closed right up until the point of the Wilson Road intersection. The parade will now turn south along Wilson Road, then turn east along east along Post Office Street, then south onto Gardenside Street, and they would assemble at the Gardenside car park. Now, there'll be no parking along those routes that have been identified. No parking along Wilson Road between the hours of 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. Persons who are found in contravention of this, their vehicles will be wrecked, and those vehicles will be taken to the Scarborough station, where you would incur a fee of $500. It is important to note that the car parks of Market Square, as well as the Garden Side car park, will be closed to the general public. Alternative parking will be sourced at Old Market Square, the Republic Bank car park, FCB car park. We want to ensure that we have a safe, as per usual, a safe independence. The armed forces will be out. There will be collaborative efforts among the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the Coast Guard, as well as the Army. So we will be manning the streets to provide safety as well as road management. I am asking persons to comply with the directions of the police officers who will be performing their duties so that we don't have any incident. I know persons want to get as close as possible
Yes.
to the parade, but let us put it in a simple perspective. If you park along the highway where the route is taking place, then you're actually hampering the beautiful parade that will be coming down the road. So persons, be aware of the road restrictions on Thursday between 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. on the 31st of August 2023.
And we'll get into some more of that stuff, or what's being planned for Independence Day and what you, the public, should know when we come back after this break.
Yeah. Hey.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
Sergeant Joseph Jordan from the TTPS, as we also not just discuss what's been happening in the space of crime, but we also discuss some of the plans for Independence Day. Now, before we went to the break, he spoke a little bit about what's to happen for the Independence Day parade and, you know, what you, the public, need to be aware of, especially and most importantly, where not to park. So, we're moving into the rest of the day because later in the day, we would be having the fireworks. There's even the regatta that's going to be happening in Scarborough and so on. So what can you tell us about those things that are coming up?
All right. So what we are aware of, right? And I need to make this very clear. There are things that have been put in the public that the police does not have any legal document to work with, right? So what we are aware of is that we would have our usual fireworks, and the officers would be in place to provide that level of security and safety for the persons who are coming into Scarborough to view the fireworks. So that would take effect from around 6 p.m. So there will be a presence of police officers. There will not be much restriction as relates to parking and road closure, but we will have a presence to ensure that persons are safe because of the crowd that make up or the crowd that is expected in the Scarborough area. We would have heard some ads as relates to regatta. The last time I checked, there was no documentation as relates to that, but obviously we cannot bury our heads in the sand. The information is out there, and we would need to make the necessary inquiries to ensure what is taking place. As it relates to the later on in the evening, well, we have the Tobago Jam, which is the launch of the Tobago Carnival. So that will be another activity that the police will be paying attention to. We will be doing our regular searches, providing that security to ensure that Trinidad and Tobago remains safe. So we want to inform the public that we will be out providing that necessary support with among our various military participants to ensure that we could have a crime-free Independence Day. We know it's buzzing with a lot of activity. People look forward to these things. But once again, I ask that, we just comply with the instructions of the police officers that will be performing their duties, be reasonable in your action, and we would be able to have a very seamless transition during that period of time.
And then what is to happen, like in terms of parking for Scarborough? Will people be allowed to, park alongside the Milford Road to watch the fireworks next to the seawall and that sort of thing?
Right. So parking will be allowed on one side of the roadway because the road is generally wide, so that will be more. Parking will be allowed on the southern side of the if you're proceeding.
So basically the seawall.
The seawall, right? So on the southern side of that Milford Road, and we would have the necessary restrictions as time would But sometimes we have to adjust. Let me put it this way, because depending on your crowd and all these things, you will make necessary adjustment while out there. But generally, we have not put in place any strict no parking zones for Scarborough. Just that we want persons to be reasonable. The various car parks will be available at that point in time to allow parking in the Scarborough area and environs. So just be observant and compliant, and we would have a wonderful evening on Independence Day.
Yes, and as it relates to fireworks, are people allowed to use fireworks during that day, or should it only be for what the government arranges? Right.
So basically, as relates to fireworks, there is the commercial type fireworks where persons are allowed to use, as compared to the industrial type, which will be like the main event. So persons they can purchase their commercial fireworks from the authorized dealers, and of course you're going to use it in a reasonable and safe manner. So persons are allowed to purchase their as I said, their commercial fireworks and use same. Now, if they are depending on the quantity, there are certain restrictions as it relates to that. So person need to comply, and that would mainly be for the suppliers. They would sell their fireworks in relation to the regulations that provide for such. And as it relates to the industrial type fireworks, there are a number of policies and security measures that ought to be put in place, and in order for you to do that. So police will have to get involved to make sure that it is secure, that it is escorted. All these things are the usual part of the package. So within the next 3 days, all those things will be provided. And of course, with everything, safety is important. Yes. Because we can't have fireworks going on all over the place in a irresponsible manner. So there is some responsibility as to the users as well as the sellers of these products.
And should anybody in the public have anything to fear in relation to an incident happening similar to what happened on Sunday morning?
Well, as in that instance, it is isolated. I do not believe that we should have a fear of going out and socializing. It is an isolated one, and we would ensure and we would wish that it does not happen again. So in instances like that, we would ask that proprietors of these establishments put necessary policies in place to safeguard your patrons so that there is no repeat of it. We, the police, we will be doing our public education aspect as relates to that. We will be continuing with our patrols, our stop and searches. We continue to do what we need to do to ensure that we provide for a safe environment. So we rest assured that Tobago remains a safe place. The island of Tobago is one of love and harmony, and the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, in collaboration with our stakeholders, would ensure that we continue to provide that level of harmony for the citizens of Tobago and, by extension, Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, great. And that's a wonderful point for us to leave our conversation with. I want to thank you so much, Sergeant Jordan. Oh, tight tongue this morning again, for joining us this morning and for giving us just a perspective on what's been happening as it relates to some of the crime statistics on the island, as well as Independence Day coming up.
Thank you very much. So you have a wonderful day and happy independence to Trinidad and Tobago, and to you at Tobago Updates.
All right, great. So viewers, thank you for being here with us, and we will see you again tomorrow.
Wake up with Kandace and
Let's go. It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong.